Today, Republicans countering Biden's infrastructure plan with a much smaller bill. We have details on what's in it and where they'll find the money to pay for it. Paying workers to meditate and eat vegetables. How one business is redefining wellness at the workplace. And lawmakers grill Apple and Google. Are they abusing their market dominance in mobile app stores? That and much more coming up at NTD Business. Good evening and great to have you with us as fewer Americans today apply for unemployment benefits. Initial jobless claims hit a pandemic low last week, falling more than expected. 547,000 Americans filed for jobless claims last week. It's actually the lowest since the pandemic started. For economists, it's a sign the labor market is recovering, but they say the road ahead may still be bumpy. Jobless claims rose in 2 of the past 3 weeks. So unemployment falling, but U.S. home sales also falling to a 7-month low in March. It's not that people aren't looking, it's just that there aren't enough homes on the market. Existing home sales dropping 3.7% last month to the lowest level since August 2020. They're still well above their pre-pandemic low though. And strong demand for bigger homes and shortage of supply means higher prices. Obviously, the median sales price in March rose to an all-time high of $329,000. That's nearly 20% higher than a year ago. Low interest rates are arguably the main driver of the housing boom, and it looks like they're facilitating a boom in this startup scene as well. Investors are apparently hurling cash at tech startups at record rates. Valuations are much higher now and deals are getting done faster. NTD's Arlene Richards reports.
Tech startups are raising record amounts of money in record amounts of time, investors giving around 5 times more than what was asked for, and deals that usually take months now take days.
And it made sense to invest in the kind of businesses that people are shifting to. So a lot of the companies we work with may have doubled, tripled, or quadrupled overnight.
PitchBook data says U.S. startups raised nearly $70 billion in the first quarter. That's 41% more than the last record. The companies range from social platforms to payment processors. One company gives you business emails online.
So with the world moving more and more online, one of the best ways to reach out to people is email, whether that's a cold email or signing up to an email list. So this product helps verify that you are reaching the correct person.
Another firm is working on fusion energy, which generates electricity through the heat of nuclear fusion reactions. These reactions power the sun and other stars.
And it's just phenomenal what they're doing. And it could be that in the next 6 to 8 years, there could be electrons, as the CEO said, flowing onto the grid from fusion energy.
Startups look for funding through friends and family, banks, venture capital firms, and so on. One recommendation is to look for similar startups and talk to whoever funded them. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
What if your boss told you they'd pay you to stay healthy? Well, one company in Indiana is doing it. Employees there can get bonuses for things like meditating, exercising, even eating more vegetables. NTD's Phil Zoe has the story.
Software company LifeOmic is paying its employees to get healthy.
It's actually saved my life.
Workers can earn up to $1,950 on top of their salary. Staffers who quit smoking for at least 6 months can earn $1,000.
Our employees tend to be healthier, are happy. Few employees who suffer from chronic diseases.
Workers earn points for practicing good habits like meditating, eating more fruits and vegetables, and sleeping and exercising more.
A complete 180. I feel better now than I have in 20, maybe 30 years. I mean, it's really that transformational.
Adams also practices mindfulness and intermittent fasting. Not only did he lose 32 pounds, he also reversed a disease.
Within 6 months, I was able to reverse the type 2 diabetes. I'm no longer type 2 diabetic. I no longer have high blood pressure. Everything's back to normal.
He started by taking one step at a time. Staying consistent is key.
Baby steps. I just took one pillar at a time and started to do it.
They start to adopt the little changes that we recommend, and that's really our approach, to encourage people to take baby steps.
The company has also benefited. Insurance costs went down 10% from reduced claims.
So it's been really gratifying to see people start to be aware of their health and to realize that to a large degree it's in their hands.
The company predicts it will pay out around $100,000 in health bonuses this year. Phil Zhou, NTD News.
And one unintended consequence of the Paycheck Protection Program, which paid employee wages during the pandemic, is that manufacturers are left with little or no work to do now a year later, at least some of them. Dakota Micro in North Dakota makes camera equipment for rugged terrains. It took out a PPP loan last year after sales fell by 30%. So workers naturally got to work making equipment. But a year later, business is picking up, but there's nothing left to do. I talked to the company's CEO, Charissa Ruby, today.
So what happened was, we got the PPP money, and part of the requirement, which is great, is that you keep everybody employed. And so even though we weren't busy, we were paying people to be there. So we found everything for them to do, from, just everything we could think of, a lot of prep work. So in manufacturing, you can, get things ready for the manufacturing process up to a certain stage. And so then business started to pick up in the fall. And then by spring and this year, 2021, the manufacturers are back up and running. Our customers are back ordering, and we're actually up in business. But our employees, we had a meeting the other day, and it was a strategy meeting, and they were saying we don't have enough for our people to do. And I was like, I can't even wrap my head around how that's even possible, because we have more business, but people don't have anything to do. And they were saying, well, it's a couple of things. One of them is we got the PPP money last year. They did all these little jobs that we would normally keep them busy right now, and we're not getting the inventory. Yes, we've been able to mitigate a lot of it, but we are seeing prices go up on a lot of things, pretty much everything. And I don't know how much of it is due to shortage or the fear of shortage. So there's most of it is on components that are coming from overseas. A lot of the domestic products are staying relatively the same. So that's good, because our core products, our cameras that we make, the AgCam line, the EnduraCam line, we source most of that stuff from the United States. So we're not really having to do anything with those components. But like our flat screen monitors, they all come from overseas. There really isn't a good domestic supplier. And so those are going up in price, and we're having a harder time getting them here. The lead times are much longer. The shipping is increasing. It's just kind of an exponential effect.
So you've seen the imported products are going up, but you thought domestically you can still get goods at the same price, raw materials?
It depends. It's kind of hit and miss. I think there's a lot of domestic companies that are doing their best to hold if they can, because it's an opportunity too for us to, because we're more of a domestic supplier. We do have some imported products, but and this is just a guess, but I would imagine like us, we're thinking, hey, we're a domestic supplier. We're having trouble with importing products. Let's take advantage of this opportunity to show everybody how much better we are, how reliable we are. And I'm trying to basically, make lemonade out of lemons.
Charissa Ruby, Dakota Micro. And the world's largest chip maker, Taiwan's TSMC, approving a $3 billion plan to increase chip making capacity. The money will go towards mature technology, which mainly targets the chip shortage in the car industry. Earlier this month, TSMC already announced a $100 billion expansion plan over the next 3 years. It happened days after Intel announced a $20 billion plan. The Taiwanese chip company expects to continue growing as smartphone, laptop, even home appliance makers are running low on chips. South Korean car maker Hyundai says the chip shortage is forcing it to adjust production in May. It had a healthy chip inventory, but now the shortage is catching up, and it's paused production 3 times since the beginning of the month. And as supply chains problems persist, German shipping company Hapag-Lloyd is shelling out more than $500 million for shipping containers. It's trying to combat slow turnaround times by ordering 150,000 new containers. It's one of its biggest orders ever. Import surges, labor shortages, port congestion mean it's waiting over twice as long to get empty containers back. But despite the challenges, its net profit was up 155% last year. The CEO says the container shipping industry is seeing unprecedented demand, and its new order should help ease the situation and give its customers better service. And stocks taking a dive today on reports President Biden proposed a hefty tax increase on investment gains. The Dow suddenly falling 321 points, 0.94%, S&P 500 down 38 points, 0.9%, and the Nasdaq dropping 132 points, about 0.9% as well. Bloomberg reporting Biden plans to almost double the capital gains tax, citing unnamed sources though, so we can't yet confirm it. American Airlines Southwest, though, reporting smaller than expected quarterly losses, could be a sign of revival in travel demand, but both shares fell though. 10-year Treasury yield steady today, now at about 1.54%. And AT&T beating Wall Street revenue targets, better than expected smartphone sales helping. The company says it added almost 600,000 wireless subscribers in the first quarter. That's more than double what analysts expected. Its media strategy also helped. AT&T made all its new 2021 movies available to its streaming customers and helped attract 2.7 million new subscribers for HBO and HBO Max. The company's Godzilla vs. Kong has been the #1 film over 3 weekends. It's generated millions for the company. A lower price version of HBO Max, supported by ads, is set to launch in June. And Nestle posting its strongest quarterly sales growth in 10 years, citing stronger demand for coffee, dairy, pet care products, all at-home products. Kira Lee reports.
As consumers were locked up at home, Nestle says they bought more packaged food for themselves and their pets. That helped the world's biggest food group post its strongest quarterly sales growth in a decade. Nestle on Thursday said it's weathered the global health crisis well so far. It expanded e-commerce and its health science portfolio as shoppers became more concerned about their health. The maker of Kit Kat chocolate bars and Nescafe instant coffee expects an increase in organic sales growth this year. They were up 7.7% in the first quarter. Pet care sales rose 8.7%, while powdered and liquid beverages, including coffee, rose nearly 10%. Dairy sales soared over 15%. Nestle says it will now focus on offering more health and wellness foods and get rid of underperforming businesses. Its shares were trading up as much as 2.7% in early deals.
And President Biden making an ambitious new pledge to cut greenhouse gases. He set a goal double the level former President Barack Obama established in 2015 when he entered the Paris Climate Agreement.
The United States sets out on the road to cut greenhouse gases in half by the end of this decade.
Biden made the announcement during a virtual climate summit with 40 world leaders. Former President Donald Trump removed America from the Climate Pact and chose a different path towards sustainability. Emissions dropped during Trump's time in office, but some believe the decrease was too small and have pressured Biden to take more drastic action. The United States rejoined the Paris Agreement on Biden's first day in office. He says he wants the country to achieve zero net emissions by 2050. Biden administration officials say they've analyzed how every sector can make cuts. And Senate Republicans propose a $568 billion 5-year infrastructure package. It's to counter President Biden's $2.3 trillion plan. They call their measure a starting point for bipartisan negotiations.
That this is the largest infrastructure investment that Republicans have come forward with. This is a robust package when we look at where we're focusing our infrastructure needs.
The proposal focuses on roads, bridges, rail, ports, water systems, broadband access, and it'll be paid for through user fees and unspent federal funds, not tax increases. Republicans sent the proposal to the White House today before unveiling it. Biden had asked Republicans to offer a counterproposal to his infrastructure plan. And Google and Apple under fire again at a Senate antitrust hearing. Senators asking if they're squashing competition by charging excessive fees or excluding apps that compete with their own products. NTD's Tom Ozimek reports.
A panel of senators grilled officials from Apple and Google at an antitrust hearing Wednesday.
We will focus on how Apple and Google can use their power to, 1, exclude or suppress apps that compete with their own products, and 2, charge excessive fees that affect competition in the app economy.
Senators heard complaints from Spotify, Match, and other App Store developers who accused Apple and Google of anti-competitive practices. Allegations included selectively hitting companies with high developer fees and strong-arming developers to do their bidding.
Apple's anti-competitive intent is clear.
Spotify's chief legal officer says Apple's App Store forced it to raise monthly prices shortly before Apple launched a competing music service at a lower price.
Apple abuses its dominant position as a gatekeeper of the App Store to insulate itself from competition and disadvantage rival services like Spotify. Apple's anti-competitive conduct hurts consumers with higher prices, less innovation, and less choice.
Apple and Google pushed back against accusations of abusing market power to squash competition and of charging unjustified developer fees in their app stores. Both tech giants told senators that the company's tight control over their stores and the associated revenue-sharing requirements are needed. They said it's to enforce and pay for security measures to protect consumers from harmful apps and practices.
We review every app in the App Store to make sure it meets standards for privacy, safety, security, and performance. And each week, we review about 100,000 submissions, and we reject about 40% of them because they don't meet those standards. And we know that our approach works.
But when Senator Josh Hawley asked, Apple's chief compliance officer would not commit to spending all of the mandatory fees on security. Big Tech's outsized influence over so many aspects of everyday life has become one of the biggest battlefronts in state legislatures. Lawmakers are debating scores of so-called techlash bills amid proposals relating to antitrust, consumer privacy, App Store fees, and free speech. Tom Ozimek, NTD News.
And U.S. lawmakers are ramping up bipartisan efforts to counter China. A Senate committee is backing a new bill pressing Beijing on human rights and economic competition. NTD's Patrick Hayden takes a look.
A bipartisan U.S. congressional push to counteract China is picking up steam. The Senate committee has overwhelmingly backed a bill, Strategic Competition Act of 2021, that presses Beijing on human rights and economic competition. On Wednesday, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee discussed the requirements of the bill. In defining Beijing's strategy, Senator Chris Van Hollen echoed a stark view.
They want to use that economic muscle to enter into what, as Senator Rubio described, a mercantilist strategy overseas, combined with Belt and Roads, not just to strengthen themselves economically, but to export their model of authoritarian rule. So I think this is a really important effort.
Van Hollen also raised concerns about China's influence on global telecom networks.
We've seen what's happened not just with our European allies who have been tempted to take on 5G, but in Africa and other places around the world. Huawei is dominant. They have 70% of the 4G market in Africa right now. And so one of the amendments adopted would call for a better digital strategy with respect to the Development Finance Corporation.
Senator John Barrasso says China is turbocharged by promoting cheap fossil fuels.
The Belt and Road Initiative, it's all about coal-fired power plants. That's what they're doing around the world with their predatory lending by China. Currently, China is providing 7 of 10 global coal production plants right now that they've either permitted or are under construction.
Barrasso says countries that want low-cost electricity will turn to China because America won't help promote high-carbon energy projects, and that's a problem as those countries end up indebted to China. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee backed the Strategic Competition Act of 2021 by 21-1. The bill now goes to the full Senate for consideration. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
Still to come. Remember Polaroid? Well, it's back with a new camera. Doesn't cost much, but comes with some pretty sweet new features. We take a peek at a secret bar hidden in New York City. Find out what makes it so unique after this short break.
When the game's over and it's time to go home, sometimes your car has other plans. That's why I drive with CarShield. As expensive as car repairs can be, I wanted the best defense around. And with CarShield's administrators, they make sure that you don't get stuck with expensive car repairs like this. Did I forget to mention that with CarShield's network, I also get 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, and rental car reimbursement included. That's peace of mind every driver needs.
I saved close to $9,000.
If it wasn't for CarShield, I wouldn't have my car.
I gotta tell you, it's quite a relief not to worry about expensive car breakdowns anymore. And with CarShield's administrators, you can choose your favorite mechanic or dealer to do the work. Plus, it's easier than ever to get America's favorite car protection. There's no long-term contracts, and coverage is affordable for every wallet size.
If I didn't have CarShield, I would have been out of pocket $7,000. And as a parent of 3, I couldn't have that.
I trust CarShield administrators because they paid my claim.
Talk about MVP protection for less than the cost of a ball game. Take it from me, the Boomer. Nobody wants to go through the headache of an expensive car breakdown on their own.
If you're driving without a warranty, you have to call CarShield.
Yeah, you do.
So do yourself and your car a favor. Call CarShield. They're your best line of defense against expensive breakdowns.
CarShield administrators paid almost $4,000 for my repairs.
CarShield is wonderful. They saved me $1,300.
With CarShield, I saved $4,100 on my first repair.
Over 1 million happy drivers couldn't be wrong. Call CarShield now.
Protect yourself now against expensive auto repair bills. Call CarShield for a free and instant protection plan quote. Once your car breaks down, it's too late. Call 800-781-2990, 800-781-2990, 800-781-2990.
Polaroid has introduced the smallest analog instant camera in the world. It's called Polaroid Go. The company says it's around 2 inches tall, 3 inches wide, 4 inches long. Even its film is a mini version of the classic Polaroid film. The camera features a selfie mirror, self-timer, and travel-friendly accessories. It costs around $100 and is already open for pre-sale. It goes on sale next Tuesday. It's pretty cool. A little bar in New York City has a waiting list of 2,000 people. The Lennox Cocktail Lounge is tucked away in a subway station, and it serves as an oasis from the street noise above ground and the screeching trains below. Conway G. Gittins gives us a peek inside.
Go down the New York City subway steps at 28th Street on the 1 train, and it's easy to walk by this unassuming door, which when opened reveals a clandestine bar hidden in plain sight, tucked between a staircase and the train platform. La Noche, a bar the size of only roughly 500 square feet, was ready to open last year just as the health crisis hit New York in March. So it had to push back the opening until October. But since then, it's become a hot spot with a waiting list 2,000 people strong, a tall order for such a small place. That's because New York City hasn't totally lifted all restrictions from the crisis, which means La Noche can only have up to 12 people in at one time between the limited hours of 5 p.m. and midnight. But why an underground bar in a subway? Most people are usually trying to get out of the transit system as soon as they can. Petty says what this location lacks in size, it makes up in novelty.
We all fell in love with New York for one reason, is because in many places in New York, so the subway being the number one places like that, different in race, in gender, in economic background, can still talk to together and party together in New York. And that's, I think, why New York is one of the best in the world, you know.
Ah, the mingling of more than just ingredients in your favorite drink. Add in a background soundtrack from the rumbles of the subway, and La Noche could be the perfect getaway once the daily commute is back in full force, without even going back above ground.
The French might spend more than any other nation eating and drinking, and they may have found a way to enjoy fine dining at home even during lockdown restrictions. NTD's Eddie Aitken reports.
France is still observing a nighttime curfew from 7 p.m. every day due to the pandemic.
Restaurants have been forced to close down, but if you have enough money, private chefs can bring fine dining to your home. A trained private chef in France says she was busy before the pandemic. Now she's even busier and serves between 60 and 80 meals a month.
Now, it's true that I have to turn down a lot of requests because I can't split myself in two. It's a bit complicated, but yes, there is a very significant demand.
According to a government decree, private chefs are allowed to serve meals at their customers' homes amid the current restrictions. So for people who used to eat out, private chefs are proving popular.
Company executives used to organize work dinners or lunches with their clients, and now they have to stay at home and invite their clients there, obviously within the limits of the law.
She takes bookings from private individuals, brings her ingredients to their home, and uses their equipment to prepare and serve restaurant-quality dishes. Last Friday, she was booked by a customer to prepare lunch for her and her mother.
We obviously want to go out, see our friends and family, and share meals with them, but we can't. So this is recreating that moment of exchange at home, and it's really great for that. So I am very pleased.
She says she operates within the rules and doesn't work for gatherings of more than 6 people, or work after the 7 p.m. curfew. But her service is not within the reach of every Parisian. A lunch for 2 comes in at €170, or about £150 per person.
As the latest business updates for today, you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.